In the sun-kissed cradle of Carthage's twice-fallen glory, one foreign storm replaced another. From 430 to 647 AD, this land, rich with history and soaked in the legacy of Rome, found itself caught between two mighty empires, each leaving an indelible, and often painful, mark. This wasn't just a change of flags, it was a profound shift in the very soul of North Africa, a 200-year saga of conquest, faith, and fleeting hope. The story begins with the Vandals. In 429 AD, a Germanic tribe led by the ambitious and ruthless King Gaiseric crossed the Strait of Gibraltar from Spain. They didn't just migrate, they swept across the North African coast like a storm surge. By 439 AD, the unthinkable happened. Carthage, the jewel of Roman Africa, fell to Gaiseric's forces. For the people who lived there, who saw themselves as Romans, this was a cataclysm. The Vandals established a kingdom that would last for a century. A kingdom built on the foundations of Roman Africa but ruled by new masters with a different faith. The Vandals were Arian Christians, a branch of Christianity considered heretical by the mainstream Nicene, or Catholic, church which dominated the Roman Empire. This religious divide became a source of immense tension. The Vandal kings, particularly Gaiseric and his successors, often persecuted the Catholic clergy and elite, confiscating church property and exiling bishops. This wasn't just a political takeover, it was a cultural and religious clash that tore at the social fabric of the province. The Vandal kingdom was also a formidable naval power. Their fleets controlled the western Mediterranean, and in 455 AD, they sailed up the Tiber and famously sacked the city of Rome itself, carrying away treasures and deepening the wounds of a fracturing empire. For the people of North Africa, their home had become the launch pad for an attack on the very heart of the civilization they once belonged to. But empires rise and fall. In the east, the Roman Empire, now known to us as the Byzantine Empire, was gathering its strength. The Emperor Justinian the Great, reigning from Constantinople, dreamed of restoring the Roman Empire to its former glory, a dream known as the Renovatio Imperii. And North Africa was a key piece of that puzzle. In 533 AD, Justinian dispatched his brilliant general, Belisarius, with a powerful army. The campaign was swift and decisive. Belisarius landed, and in a series of key battles, including the Battle of Ad Decimum, he shattered the Vandal army. The last Vandal king, Gelimer, was captured, and the Vandal kingdom collapsed. Byzantine banners once again flew over Carthage. To many, it must have felt like liberation. The return of rightful Roman rule after a century of barbarian occupation. The dream of restoration seemed to be coming true. However, the reality of Byzantine rule was complicated. While they restored the Catholic Church to its former prominence and began an ambitious program of rebuilding fortifications and public works, the liberation came at a cost. The Byzantines were efficient but demanding administrators. They imposed heavy taxes to fund the empire's vast military and administrative needs. The very lifeblood of the land, the grain and olive oil produced by the hard work of local farmers, was funneled eastward to feed the armies and the capital of Constantinople. For the ordinary person, one foreign yoke had simply been replaced by another. The Vandal master who spoke a Germanic tongue was gone, but now came the Greek-speaking tax collector from a distant capital. The promised order often felt like a new form of chains. Furthermore, the Byzantine hold was not always secure. They faced constant resistance from the indigenous Berber tribes of the interior, who had long resisted control by any coastal power, be it Carthaginian, Roman, Vandal, or Byzantine. This led to decades of draining, low-level warfare that bled the province of resources and manpower. The peace that people longed for remained elusive. The province of Africa became a beacon of Roman revival for a time, a testament to Justinian's ambition. Cities were rebuilt, churches flourished, and Roman law was reinstated. But this revival was fragile, dependent on the strength of a distant emperor. After Justinian's death, the Byzantine Empire found itself beset by enemies on all sides: Persians in the east, Slavs and Avars in the Balkans. North Africa, once a priority, became a secondary frontier, often neglected and left to fend for itself. The grand imperial dream began to wither. By the early 7th century, the province was weakened by internal strife, religious disputes, and the constant pressure from Berber raids. It was into this fractured and exhausted land that a new, powerful force emerged from the Arabian Peninsula. In the 640s, Arab armies, fueled by the new faith of Islam, swept across Egypt and into Libya. In 647 AD, at the Battle of Sufetula, they delivered a decisive blow to the Byzantine forces. Although it would take several more decades to fully conquer the region, this battle marked the beginning of the end for Byzantine Africa. The Roman eagle, which had flown over this land for centuries, first under Rome and then under Constantinople, was finally grounded. So, what is the legacy of this turbulent era? The Vandal and Byzantine period was a bridge between the classical world of Rome and the medieval Islamic world in North Africa. It was a time of profound disruption, where identities were questioned and allegiances were constantly shifting. Were the people of Carthage still Romans after a century of Vandal rule? Was Byzantine liberation a true restoration or just a new form of colonial control? This era reminds us that history is not a simple story of good guys and bad guys. The Vandals were conquerors, yes, but they also maintained a functioning kingdom for a century. The Byzantines were restorers, but their rule was often exploitative and burdensome. For the people who tilled the soil, paid the taxes, and raised their families, life was a constant struggle for survival under the shadow of great powers. Their loyalties were torn, their resources were drained, and their hopes for a lasting peace were repeatedly shattered. When we look at the ruins of ancient Carthage, or the crumbling Byzantine fortresses that still dot the landscape of Tunisia and Libya, we see more than just stone. We see the echoes of a 200-year struggle. We can almost hear the whispers of Vandal kings and Byzantine governors, the prayers of persecuted bishops and the cries of Berber warriors. It's a story of how interconnected dreams of empire can turn into shattered hopes for the people caught in the middle. From a barbarian dawn to a Byzantine dusk, this land endured. The rules and rulers changed, but the spirit of the people, bound to that sun-scorched earth, persisted. The full story of their heartaches and their resilience is a tale that still whispers on the Mediterranean winds, a silent testament to lost masters and fallen dreams. What do you think was the true cost of empire for the people of North Africa? Was one rule better than the other, or were they simply two sides of the same coin? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the past, please like and subscribe for more.